Hi, my name is James Orvis, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at the Techno Donk, which you hear in a lot of Drumcode records, a lot of techno at the moment, and it's been going on for a long time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to easily make that sound, and then we're going to move on to ways in which we can develop it into something new by just putting our own little twist on it. So I've got a bunch of like little effects and ideas that I kind of stuck on it and tried out. And hopefully that will ignite some inspiration in you guys to take it a step further and come up with your own unique techno donks, which might become the next big thing, because it's getting quite saturated with the same sound now, I think, in the scene, like a lot of things actually. So it's really important to, as producers, to kind of push yourself to come up with something different and something new. Not saying I'm going to get something completely different in this session right now, but hopefully, like I said, it'll spark off some ideas for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you what we're going to get to start with, the traditional one, and I'll show you how we got to that point. So I've got this playing with some loops from the Eclipse pack. So just a pretty simple donk. I'm going to keep using that funny word, donk. So I'll just show you what it sounds like on its own, actually. So I tried a few different synths out, and then I found that the basic kind of 303 works really nicely, and I just used the MIDI capabilities in there just to put a C note in. And yeah, with the square wave just works really, really nice. I tried a few Archery synths and things like that, and I just found that the square wave in this works really well for what I wanted. So this is what it sounds like without all of that stuff. It's really, really simple and basic. So the thing that makes it sound the way it does is things like the delay and a bit of saturation. So I'll just switch all these off and we'll go through each one and I'll show you what I've done. So the first one, I've got this lustrous plate, and that is adding this. So you're getting that quite a nice wide, deep tail at the end, which is giving it that really nice sound. And then next up, I've got this EQ to bring up the mids, so around 1K. So that works really nicely, and I feel like with that you can push and pull that back as much as you want to taste. Obviously you'd have to level it afterwards, and you can choose different frequencies as well and kind of make them resonate a bit more. Let me just reset this to where I had it. The next, I had a chorus, but I didn't end up using this. This is what this sounds like. So I mean, it sounds quite nice actually, you could put that in. And then next up we've got a Decapitator. So this is just adding some subtle overdrive. So just give it a bit more grit. And then finally, I've got another equality, again pushing up that 1K area, because I felt like I wanted it to be even more kind of resonant in the mids. If you've got a mix where you've got a lot of bass and stuff going on like this one, like by pushing up those mids, it really pops through. So yeah, I did it once earlier on the chain, and then I felt like I just wanted to do it more again. Obviously rebalance it when you do that as well. So I brought it down by about 6 dB. So that's the basic kind of patch, and you can experiment with that anyway, just as it is, by changing up the oscillators and the synths that you're using, changing up the saturation and overdrives, changing up reverbs, trying choruses and things like that. And also you can do things like play around with the settings on here as well. So I mean, you can play around with the resonance, you can change the decay to get different kind of shapes out of it. I mean, we could put that on sawtooth as well. That sounds really nice. So yeah, just within that you can really tweak stuff quite drastically. So now we've got the basic patch set up, let's move on to some ideas, like just things that we could kind of throw on top and play around with. I was just digging through like Ableton's stock plugins and just experimenting with stuff, seeing what I could get out of it. And these are like quite a few of my favourite things that I found. I've also got Guitar Rig as well, which we'll come on to in a second. So this first one, I've got the Erosion plugin, and I thought this was really cool when you put it on sine and then play around with the frequency. So let's just have a play around with this. So you can get some really nice different turns out of that. Quite similar to that one is the Redux. So you can play around with the different down samples there to get different kind of tones out of it. Which I found really nice and experimental was the frequency shifter. Again, by playing around with this knob here, you can get some different tones out of it, and then also you can play around with like the LFO as well. And then you can get loads of percussion out of that one. Just keep playing around with the frequency. Also, I pushed up the drive on this as well, so without it, it sounds like this. So I thought that was like a really, really nice sound. And then you got the LFO as well. So you get some really cool, nice effects out of that. Turning not so much into a donk once you start pushing it up, but I mean, you could resample that and you could layer that into the track as a separate sound. So just out of that one sound, we can kind of get loads of different like spot effects, which is pretty cool. And then the next one is I used the Vocoder and I set it to modulator. Played around with like the formant. I brought that down, turned the release up a little bit, also the depths up all the way to 200%. And this is what I got out of it. Obviously, you can play around with that formant as well, make it deeper or higher. That's pretty cool when you go quite low. And I've not really played around with much of this stuff in here, so you could go further and kind of start playing with the bands as well. You can change the bands. And then I think you can go in and like draw stuff like this as well. So that's really, really cool. So it starts to sound a little bit like FM synthesis when you start messing around with that. So that's a good way to kind of change the sound a bit as well. Next up, we've got Guitar Rig, and I love using this one here, Resochord. So my friend showed me this, and we used it on a vocal, and then just recently I've started using it on loads of different bits like percussion, synths, anything that kind of like this is like a stab. You can put a tail on the end of it. It kind of acts as like a delay in a way. So what I'll do is I'll switch it over to string mode and then put the spread up quite high, and then set the key to the key that we're in, and you can choose the different octaves. I'll put it in the lowest one on a C, and then decay will be like obviously the decay time. So check this out, and you get this like nice like sucking kind of action. It's brilliant. So if you put all the decay all the way up, you get this, and it kind of like it's like a filter in a way. If I do a short one. That's cool, really cool. I'll leave it there. And then we've got the ring modulator. This one's super experimental. It's kind of similar to what I was doing with the frequency shifter and things like that. Let's just see where I've had this left, and then we'll play around with the different bits. Cool. And then you've got the LFO as well. Just messing around really, messing around with these different things. Obviously in Guitar Rig you've got loads more components as well, like you can put pedals on, things like that. And you can stack things up, which we're going to do at the end. We're going to kind of experiment with these and see if we can get a few layered up at the same time. This is a preset I really love, which I've mentioned on previous tutorial just recently, called Dub Syndicate. A really nice kind of like little dub delay, and I found that this was quite nice on this donk as well. That's really cool, and obviously you can mess around with the delay times. And you've got a big reverb built in there as well. A bit of pre-delay, that sounds really, really nice. So yeah, let's start playing around. Maybe we'll leave this on, bring the dry wet down, leave that at the end of the chain, and then we'll start switching some of these on, because you can mix and match stuff as well to get like really nice results. So let's go ahead and put this guitar rig back on, because that was pretty cool. The rim modulator off, but we can go ahead and switch some of these on. Bit crazy. Let's try the Redux. I like that. I know it's a bit robotic sounding, but I'm a big sucker for the Redux. And let's try this. It might be too much with the Redux on as well. So as you can see, you can really experiment with that. Just find loads of plugins that you really like and play around with them, and you can obviously like change the order of them as well. And that's only just scratching the surface really. I've literally just gone through 4 or 5 or 6 Ableton plugins, and then a couple of guitar rig modules as well. So yeah, have a go at this yourself. Just start with the basics, like get a couple of donk patches going, find out what synths you want to use and things like that. Try and get some variations going there. And then once you've done that, develop it, like see what you can add to that to get some really weird sounds. My recommendation is to bounce those out. So like record them out. So you've got like a folder of all these different styles. I mean, just one session of doing that and trying out different settings. And then instead of trying to save them, you kind of just like print it and move on to the next one, print that one, move on. You'll end up with like a massive folder just of these kind of sounds which you can use in tracks. And obviously you'll end up just choosing the most unique, special ones that sound really, really cool. Thank you for watching this, and if you've got any questions or any tutorials that you want us to cover in future, let us know that in the comment section below. My name is James Orvis, and I will catch you next time.